Today we've got a two-part challenge. First, we will use the Moneyball model to concentrate on profit as we attempt to sign players and resell them to gain 500 million. Second, I attempt to end one of the worst European runs on record. So welcome to the club. The club in question is Hajduk Split. So initially it looks like we've got a good sized squad. Also looking good is the youth facilities, that could be pretty handy later on. However, about that European record. Research shows me that this great club have failed to progress into the group stages of any European competition for 15 years. Disappointing indeed. One of the factors for this could be the limited budgets on offer. Compared to the rest of Europe, for example, we start with a modest transfer budget of just 4 million and a really low wage budget. So that is where our Moneyball approach can come into play. If we can pick up some undervalued gems, we can potentially gain the money to get ourselves some better players, aiding our European quest. So our goals are all set up for this save: sign players using Moneyball, resell them for a massive profit, and finally get this club into the group stages of Europe. First things first though, we need to try and end the dominance domestically of Dinamo Zagreb, because we haven't won a league title since 2005, whereas Dinamo Zagreb just win title after title after title. The good news is from day one the board seem to have the same philosophy as me, as they do not want me to sign players over the age of 30 as we look to focus on younger players. As far as the day one squad goes, I wouldn't say it's the strongest I've ever seen. We do have a couple of standouts, such as Rebic, formerly of Milan and Frankfurt, but he's already wanted. Now, I'm not normally one to jump into a club and start making transfers straight away, but looking at this squad, we might have to. Problem is, if we do that, we'll have no data to judge these players on, so we'll solely have to sign a couple of players based on attributes and the scout reports. And we don't have a long time to think about things because the season starts at the end of July, with the Conference League starting as well. So I need to work out how I'm going to play tactically for Season 1, and interestingly, tiki-taka and control possession are two of the options, which tells me I've got a pretty decent technical squad. So when it comes to the tactic, I'm going to try something a little bit different for Tactic 1, and we're going to go strikerless. If that doesn't work, we've got a more traditional looking 4-2-3-1. Key player for both formations will be Marco Lavaja, the striker, or he can play as a shadow striker as well. Whichever formation we choose, I've decided for Season 1 I'm going to make minimal transfers and give this squad a chance. In fact, the only signings I've made are these two here. First off, Ronaldo. He's a left back, Brazilian, literally 1 year deal to tie me over because my left back got injured. And I've taken a punt on a free transfer of Brahima Otara, who is 22 and he fits the remit. So I'm hoping that squad will tie me through till about mid-season, then I can start looking at transfers, and I've already set up a recruitment focus for age 15 to 22 because that's going to be my target age range. The problem I've got now is I don't have many scouts, so I need to get a bigger scouting team, and I want one with full world knowledge because we're going to go shopping all over the place. Now pre-season we were actually pretty faultless, and when this strikerless tactic works you need late runners, and that's what we've got here, waiting for pullbacks. That's ideal. It wasn't the most challenging pre-season schedule, but that's not a bad start. And in the first game of the season it was the Regista that stepped up. Zepa's in the role at the minute. He's going to be vital as one of the key creative influences in the team. As you can see, drives forward and finds the main man. The Regista is one of those roles that starts deeper, but is actually one of your most attacking positions. As you can see, he gets the ball here, drives forward, all the way forward, and pulls it back for the third. So signs are promising for the actual tactical shape. Coming up was our first qualifying game in the Conference League. And in the first leg of this match, this is where the strikerless tactic completely bamboozled some players. The two defenders have absolutely no idea who to mark. In fact, our most advanced player is actually there, Lavaja. As you can see when he gets the ball, now they panic, but they have no idea who to mark. They're running everywhere. The game ends 6-1. That'll see us through to the next round. Now back to recruitment. We've got a load of scouts applying for jobs, and importantly, they're going to have knowledge of different areas so we can really broaden our search. Including Karim, who's an Algerian. I've had him before and he did a great job for me in Africa, so let's see what he can come up with. In the Conference League third qualifying round, in the first leg we absolutely murdered Sparta. They had absolutely no answer to the fluid roaming football of this strikerless setup. Back down to earth in the league though, as Osijek beat us 3-0. But then it was time for the biggest league game of the season as we played Dinamo Zagreb at home. And this is where Marko Lavaja went absolutely nuts, as our star man bagged goal after goal after goal. In one of the most stunning matches I've ever witnessed, we beat our rivals 8-3. And as you can see from the player ratings, those front four are absolutely loving this system. And Marko has 9 goals already this season. And check out his data. He's somewhere between an attacking midfielder and a striker, but the key things for a shadow striker is his goals per match. That is insane. At the minute, assists are coming from Rebic. He's got 4 assists. You can see that there. His expected assists through the roof, but he's also getting a good amount of goals. And the winger on the right hand side, Yassine Benrahu, outstanding assists and goals. They're all doing fantastic so far. So promising stuff, and we've set up our recruitment focuses using our new scouts. We've got our focus on Africa between the ages of 15 and 23, so we'll see what Karim can come up with. And the same gig in South America with Pablo Paz. So all that stands between us and accomplishing one of our first goals is FC Zurich. If we beat them, we get into the main stages of the Conference League. And we haven't even started to reshape this squad yet. Exciting times. First leg, we got a good 3-1 win, setting us up for the second leg. In the second leg, we took an early lead through our main man, another classic strikerless goal. But then on 24 minutes, an absolute disaster. He's already running like a headless chicken, and for some reason, Benrahu did this. An absolutely shocking challenge. He gets a straight red card, and FC Zurich scored 3 times, including 2 ultra late goals, to take it to penalties. Penalties we started well, and our keeper was an absolute superstar. The big man saved 3 penalties, which meant Puckstars had the chance to send us through to the holy grail of the league stage of a European competition for the first time in 15 years. Now obviously we've achieved goal number 1 way quicker than I expected, so we'll just crank it up a little bit, and our new goal will be to get to the latter stages. But don't forget, we have the other goal as well, where we need to make around 500 million in profit from player sales. And the good news on that front was the new scouts were starting to do their job. Our South American scout had a long list already, and there was also a couple of decent prospects coming in from Africa, including this young goalkeeper who started the season really well, so we'll keep an eye on him. So look, the first part of the season with the strikerless setup has gone really well. And with the Conference League draw giving us Partizan, Go Ahead Eagles and Rosenborg, the chances to get out of this group are pretty promising. Hopefully that front four can continue their insane form, because we're going to make no more transfers until the end of Season 1. By the time we got to December, things were going well in the league. We had lost 4 times, but we were top of the league, including completely destroying Dinamo Zagreb again, hitting them for 6. Marko scored 4 in that match to go alongside his stunning season. 36 goals in 30 matches, 27 in the league, just outrageous. I'm just gutted that he's 32 years old because he's an absolutely fantastic player. The team has pretty much been that all the way through the season. And excitingly, the register role seems to be working in this tactic. We've got plenty of expected assists coming from that area, and he's getting high up the pitch as well. So surprisingly, with no strikers, we're scoring over 3 goals a match in the league. In the Conference League, we've already qualified, we haven't been beaten yet. And next season's transfer target shortlist is starting to grow and grow. So for the first time in forever, we're in the knockouts of a European competition, and it's Rangers. A disappointing away defeat at Ibrox, but that lead was squashed in the first minute in the home leg. But despite dominating the match, Rangers stole an equaliser, and just like that, our European dream for the season is over. That was disappointing, but the board are absolutely ecstatic with getting to that round of 16. But it wasn't all doom and gloom as we continued to storm through the Croatian League, taking down the league title by a massive 21 points from Dinamo Zagreb. The team scored a whopping 105 goals, with the main man Marko hitting 48 of them. He dropped just below a goal per game, but still absolutely fantastic. The other 3 attacking players had similar data, all of them contributed massively to goals and assists. And that's really important because in a setup like this, these 4 are vital. You need a good ball player in this role to supply the 4 players in front of him, And a couple of good attacking wing-backs will help as well. For example, Ronaldo, who came in for that one season hit, got 12 assists. So for them acting a bit like wingers, you're looking for assists and dribbles from your full-backs. And it really helps to have a couple of solid centre-backs as well. So overall, a successful first season, getting Hadjuk's first league title since 2005. We got them into the league stages of the Conference League, disappointing to get knocked out, but progress. But now we go about reshaping this squad despite the success we've had. And to do that, we're going to use a combination of our scout reports to have a look at the players he brings up, and also player search with those filters that we use. Now I'm looking for an attacking midfielder who's basically going to act as my withdrawn striker, so I'm going to remove tackles because I don't need him to do that. That's the player search for centre backs, defensive midfielders, and attacking fullbacks. I also focused on short contract players, so I've got a rake of players coming in for the new season. How about 20-year-old attacking midfielder Junior Beta? Outstanding in terms of assists and winning the ball back, and doesn't give the ball away either. I'm going to convert him into a register. I'm going to need more attacking players, so Gabri Martinez will come in from Braga. An exciting centre-back coming from Senegal. Insane amount of possession won from this man. And at only 19, his attributes are only going to go up. Similar story for Tanguy Zukru, who comes in from Young Boys. And I've got a choice of goalkeepers coming in. Zion Suzuki from Parma has prevented a lot of goals this season, as has Ernst from Hertha Berlin. And he's actually got even more clean sheets. So they're both coming in to compete for goalkeeper. There's a ball-winning midfielder in Marcel Lobber, who again wins the ball back at a massive tackles-won ratio. The 22-year-old comes in from Slovenia. So my African scout has been invaluable. He's got some good players getting recommended, but I've even bought one already, Sayabonga Mabina for 200,000. So I've signed him and put him in my under-19s, and he scored 29 in 20. You can see his attributes on the rise. He's already got 4 caps for South Africa. The sell-on value for him is going to be mad. The opportunity also came up to sign Yohan Bonni from Inter for under $1 million. Great attributes. In his limited time on the pitch this season, he's shown he can score with plenty of shots away, so I'm going to convert him. I'm going to retrain him in here as a shadow striker. He could be absolutely golden. So this is where things really start to crank up. We've got players coming in from all over the world, and that will be the remit going forward, because our main goal now is to bring players in and then sell them on. And here come the first new batch of players. So I've got gaps in the squad, it just depends where I can fit them in. And despite all them players coming in, my scouts continue to throw loads of players at me, including Miguel Monsalve, Colombian attacking midfielder. So he looks really good. And the good news is he's going to be out of contract in December, so we'll try and get that locked in now. For this season, I think the team's going to look like this. It looks solid, but there's a big risk at centre-back, with both of them currently only valued at 140 top line and 60 top line, so I am relying on them proving they can do it. Our first big departure came as Juventus snapped up American midfielder Rokas Pukstas. He leaves the club for just 1.7 million, but it's our first big transfer out. So going into season 2, we've got quite a big squad now, which is a good job because remember, we are in the qualifiers for the Champions League this season. Our first test will be against Derry City in the second qualifying round. The season preview still favours Dinamo Zagreb, but we're determined to create a legacy now, and the first game of the season saw Yohan Bonni start to adapt to his new striker role. Used to playing as an out-and-out striker, now he's my shadow striker. He scores 2 in a 3-0 win, and as you can see, he was the standout of the front 4. All we're doing with him is training him to be a shadow striker, so hopefully soon he'll become a natural. And in that Champions League, Bonni continued to score goals as we cruise past Derry 7-1, past Bratislava 6-3, and in a slightly tighter affair, we get past Ferencváros in the final qualifying round, meaning we've made the European leagues for 2 seasons in a row. However, with all these extra games, it took its toll a little bit on our league form, and by the halfway point of the season, we were adrift of Dinamo Zagreb, who were having a rebound season and were behind by 11 points. But we had made the Champions League, and to be honest, had been a bit of a battle in our first season in it, as we sit currently all the way down in 33rd, having only won 1 match. To be fair, we've had some tough games, Lille, AC Milan, Borussia Dortmund and Liverpool, but anytime you get a draw against Liverpool is a good thing. Now Bonni's been a regular in the team throughout, and it's meant Lavija moved over one to attacking midfield to allow Bonni to play as a shadow striker. And for a first season in a brand new role, he's done pretty well with 18 goals in 33 matches. And remember, a shadow striker is somewhere between a striker and an attacking midfielder in terms of data, but we're only looking at a couple of metrics for the main goal scorer for the team, and it's goals and a little bit of expected assists, both of which he's doing really well. Of the other new signings, goalkeeper Suzuki is winning the battle for the #1 shirt at the minute, mostly because he's really good on the ball. As you can see, that's outstanding. It's almost Edison-esque. And young Senegalese centre-back Masari Sylla looks like he could be a potential superstar. Wins the ball back a lot, decent amount of headers, but he needs to get that tackle ratio up. But his value has shot up to 1.2 to 5.8 million. But the main reason we're struggling this season is a lack of goals. We've got a great defensive record, having only conceded 18, but we're only scored 36, which is less than 2 goals a game. So the front four are not performing as well as they did last season. And to show you that, Rebic is way off. He's only scored 3 times with 2 assists. His actual data is pretty lousy. He's 33 now, so I'm probably going to see if I can get him sold. Elsewhere in the team, I moved Diallo from centre-back last season to left wing-back this season. He's done pretty well. He's got 11 assists, which is pretty good on the surface. And he's a better defender in terms of the full-back position, wins the ball back a lot. Dribbles are okay, but he doesn't give me quite as many assists as I could expect from that attacking full-back position. And that ties in with some future players that we've got coming in. Colombian left wing back Andreas Salazar will be joining in January. Now he plays for Pablo's old team Atlético Nacional, and you can see his expected assists are a little bit higher. Good all-round fullback performance. At only 23 years old, he could be a good sell-on value as well. He's going to cost me 800,000. And we're going to address the lack of goals coming from the front four with these 3 signings here. I've already showed you Miguel Monsalve, who's coming out on a free transfer, but I've got another free transfer coming. This is Colombian Luis Angel Diaz, who's only 22 years of age. He can play either wing or as a striker. He looks to be a bit of a raw talent. He's got a decent amount of assists and goals, but he needs to decide what he wants to be, a goal scorer or an assist maker. At the minute he's kind of in between, but he does get plenty of shots away, and he does supply a lot of key passes. The other one was supplied to me by my African scout. This is Maduzi Shabala, who plays for Kaizer Chiefs. The scout absolutely loved him. He's only going to cost me 300,000 because I triggered his release clause. Good technical player with good pace and can play in any of those positions, so he'll be really handy. And the final bit of news from the midpoint of the season is we're about to lose another player. Ball-winning midfielder Hugo Guillamon is about to leave us for Saudi. They've triggered his release clause at 3.6 million. Last season I would have been absolutely gutted, but this season he hasn't really performed. I'm not exactly devastated that he's leaving us. And we do have a ready-made replacement in the signing in the summer in Marcel Lobber. The good news was those signings in the second half of the season turned things around and we only lost a couple of matches. Rising up to second, but still 12 points behind Dinamo Zagreb. And the new signings definitely had an impact in terms of goal scoring as we got back up to over 2 per match. And the team are definitely doing most things right. We are top of average possession with a whopping 62%. We're top of chance created with 172. And we've completed the most passes in the league. The front four has a very different look now, but it's one I'm excited for next season. Miguel Monsalve came in and did a great job from Gremio. He played largely as an inside forward, and that's a decent goal return. And Diaz on the other side playing more as an assist maker. But the biggest success was at left wing back in Andreas Salazar. He carried his form over from the Colombian leagues into our league and looks like a fantastic fullback. And I think it's fair to say we've successfully transformed Yohan Boni into a shadow striker as he bags 32 goals this season. So on reflection, Season 1 looks like we shocked a few teams with our new strikerless approach, whereas Season 2 seems to be the start of a little mini rebuild for the squad, where we've had to kind of sacrifice a few results to bring in younger players who will long term have a better sell-on value. But the good thing is we seem to be a lot more consistent in terms of qualifying for Europe, so that's something to build on. And that's what we will do as we continue to build the squad. We're just going to have to keep finding gems, finding players of a high enough quality to get back to the top of Croatian football, but to continue to progress in Europe. And at the minute, we've only bought in 5.5 million. Long way to go. So as we got ready for Season 3, I'd made a couple of more additions to the scouting team. Scouts that will have a good knowledge of other places. This man here will have a great knowledge of all of Africa. Look at that. And Nuni Kukovic gives me a different aspect because he's going to look around Serbia, Bosnia, Montenegro, those areas. So I've set their recruitment focuses up. They can see Bosnia, Serbia, Montenegro. And as for Africa, I've now got 2 scouts specifically for that area. Now in my Bosnian search, Matija Sakoto has been recommended to me, and it looks like the data's going to back him up as an attacking midfielder. And then when you look at his attributes, they're not blow away amazing, but this kind of gives me the confidence to make a move for him. It was a similar story for Jamal Gonzaga at PSV. He hadn't played a lot for the first team, but I backed my scout's opinion and I was able to snap him up for peanuts. The other thing to consider is the Champions League money. We might not have done great in the competition, but look at that, what it's done for our balance. And that's been transferred over to our transfer budget, but I do need to get that wage budget under control a little bit. As we got into the season, there was a fresh look about the team, especially that front four. Full of youth and technical ability, the sell-on value of these boys will be pretty high, especially if they have another good season. And it looked like it was going to be, as we just about sneaked into the Conference League stage. The team were contributing from all over the pitch. And at halfway in the league campaign, we had reclaimed the top spot from Dinamo Zagreb. Even better news than that was our performance in the Europa Conference League. As we qualify for the knockouts, the front four were really stepping up and looked as prolific as Season 1. With Johan Bonni taking the Marco role, he's on pretty much a goal a game. At the minute we look strong front to back, but there was soon to be a problem. I was fielding off bids left, right and centre. Don't get me wrong, I will accept bids, but not if they're below the market value of the players. But these bids are going to come in again, so I need to get prepped just in case. Amazingly, we only lost a couple of players. Ben Rahu went for 1.5 million and Rebic went for peanuts, but he is 34. We got through the knockout playoff round against Sparta Prague despite losing at home, which meant it's the deepest we've been in European competition yet as we get to the last 16 against Brøndby. But the 1-0 win in the first leg was overturned in the second leg, and that's where we exit the stage. It's progress, but it's still disappointing. The good news was Day 1 legend Marko Levaja scored the winner in the cup final to gain our first Croatian Cup of our journey. And more good news as we maintain that form in the league and reclaim the league title, winning it by 9 points. So that's 2 leagues in the last 3 years. The legacy in Croatia is starting to grow. Player of the season was in fact the left back. I bet he didn't expect me to say that. He comes in with 14 assists, but that overall performance is outstanding, and remember, he only cost me 800,000. Don't get me wrong, Bonni was exceptional with another 39 goals. And I was right to trust my scouts about Sakota, the Bosnian, as he comes in with 13 goals and a great attacking midfield performance, giving me assists and goals. Question is, for this pre-season, will I be able to keep hold of these players? But in fairness, I probably need to move some of them on, because I've only made 7.25 million at the minute and I'm in season 3. I've got a long way to go. As we got into season 4, I was looking where we could possibly improve the team, and it's probably only right back. That is, of course, if none of the other team leave the club. So I started getting some transfers lined up to bulk out the squad. My right back was going to come from Nigeria thanks to our African scouts. This is Chimze Njoku, and he will be coming from the Nigerian Premier League and Abaya Warriors FC. Get in. So attribute wise, he's not someone you would automatically think he looks great, but he's got a couple of things going for him, especially physically. But he has had a good all-round season. I think he's worth a risk. So when you're looking at a player like that who's going to have a big step up, it's important you get your scout reports just to make sure, and I think he'll be okay. So I've also got 3 centre-backs lined up because I'm expecting bids from some of my players. There's Antal Jakobishvili from Girona's second team. This is João Munoz, a Portuguese who is playing in the Croatian League on loan from Sporting. And the final one is Mamadou Sarr from Chelsea. He's on loan in Swiss football, and he's had a fantastic time over there, winning the ball back an absolute ton. He looks like he could be a really good pickup for a free transfer. And this is Elijah Gift, a Spaniard. He scored 17 goals in 34 matches at the level he's playing at. Here's a player who's playing in the lower leagues in Spain, but a fantastic goal record. I think he's worth a risk. I'm also looking at my youth team because they're going to have great sell-on value, and it could be the season where they get moved up. But then something happened. Do you remember when we bought in Ernst at the same time as Suzuki to compete for that number 1 goalkeeper position? Well, he's going to be the number 1 this season because Zion Suzuki became our biggest sale yet, as he leaves us for 4.2 million. Ernst's value is peanuts compared to that, but he's going to be given the chance to get that number 1 jersey first. To back him up, I've bought in Arnie Schultz, who was the best goalkeeper in the second division last season. He only conceded 26 times, so he looks like a decent player. We were back in the Champions League qualifiers and we had to start early, but we did get through the first stage. And the third qualifying round was even more comfortable as Bonni scored a hat-trick in the second leg, sending us through 6-2. However, in the final qualifying round, we came up against Shakhtar Donetsk, and despite dominating both legs, we exit the competition at the final playoff stage. But not to worry, because that threw us straight into the Europa League. And after a shaky start in which we got battered by Feyenoord, we've since been undefeated, beating Braga 4-0 being a particular highlight. It means we've already qualified and we're trying to stay in that top 8. As for the league campaign, going really well, and we're having one of our best runs yet and scoring a heap of goals. We're sitting top of the league on goal difference. That's because we're absolutely smashing the goals in with 55 scored so far. I've got a good squad now and I can rotate a heap, but you might notice someone missing from the striker positions. We've lost Johan Bonni, leaving the club for a fee rising to 12.5 million. At the time he was having another prolific season, so it's a massive hammer blow. And do you remember what I said about the development centre? Well, the player I had lined up to replace him, Gavaso Matopi, was taken by PSG for 7.5 million, and he hadn't even played one match for us. God damn you, PSG. But it is a massive profit on somebody we picked up for nothing. Also leaving the club was Gabri Martinez. He went back to Braga for 1.3 million. And it means we've now brought in 32.5 million, so at least we're cooking on that front. The worry is we're having such a good season, is that going to derail us? Now for that shadow striker position that Bonnie's vacating, I'm finally going to put my faith in Maduzi Shabalala. Shabalala? So remember we bought him a few seasons ago. He hasn't really had a chance to get in the team, but he's got everything that means he should work out as a shadow striker. And when he's played this season, he's always a goal scoring threat, getting plenty of shots away. Now luckily alongside him the other three are playing really well, especially Miguel Monsalve, who's having his best season yet. And going at 0.83 goals a match, he is going to be the main goal scoring threat. Hopefully he can pick up the slack left by Bonnie. Of the new players, Mamadou Sarr has been an absolute revelation at centre-back. He's actually given me numbers in an attacking sense as well. Crazy. And Elijah Gift, who we brought in from lower league Spanish football, doesn't start every match, but when he does, he tends to hit the net. He's a threat with goals and assists, so he's ideal if we do lose any of the other front four. The only slight concern has been in goals, where Ernst hasn't really picked up from Suzuki. He's conceding a few too many. That expected goals is on the way down, so it is improving, but we just need to monitor it in case we need to recruit at the goalkeeper position. My only worry now is, as we chase 3 different competitions, can we maintain it having lost some of our better players? As we got to the end of the season, I was really surprised because they played so well. It's fair to say we didn't really miss Bonnie, and that's down to Shah Balala. Playing in that shadow striker role, he did loads of good runs just like this one. And the front four spread the goals around, but he was the main threat, and Monsalve was undoubtedly the attacking player of the season. So making that shadow striker position his own, Shah Balala scored 16 times in the season, but this was the main man this season, stepping in for Bonnie. He scored 32 goals this season from attacking midfield, including a goal in the cup final as we won our second successive Croatian Cup. In Europe we once again got to the knockout stages, but it was the last 16 again as Ajax knocked us out. Still, there's definite progress there in Europe. We just need to get a little bit deeper into the competitions. Domestically, however, we were as strong as ever as the strikerless formation completely dominated Croatia. We took down the league title by a massive 23 points, and Dinamo Zagreb were nearly 30 points adrift of us in third. We didn't quite hit 100 goals, but we weren't far off, including 20 against Vukovar. And every season we've averaged over 60% ball possession. It's fair to say I'm getting really attached to this team, but I do sense that more sales are coming. And that's why I've got some players lined up just in case. Defensive midfielder Eduardo Felicimo will come from Sporting, a player capable of winning the ball back and not losing it. From Scottish football, Marcus Seams going to be coming in from Hamilton. And a new midfielder from Macedonian football in Martin Gregovski. Again, super solid on the ball, but also a little bit creative as well. So as we get ready for Season 5, I'm going to reshape the scouting team and brutally sack some of the Croatian boys, because my 2 African scouts, Karim and Amdom, are doing a far better job, including recommending to me Samuel Kamini, a goalkeeper for the future. Now, he only cost me 94,000 from Diables Noares in Congo. I've loaned him back to them, and these are the sort of numbers he's throwing up. He is a goal-saving machine. I'm tempted to start with him next season, but I'm going to leave him there for another season. He's out with injury at the minute, which is affecting his bravery, but those attributes are all on the way up. Exciting player. So a season in which we lost 2 of our bigger players, the goalkeeper Suzuki and obviously shadow striker Bonnie. With Marco kind of aging out, it's definitely a bit of a transition season, but my God, there's still won another double. I think that's 2 in a row. Yeah, it is 2 doubles in a row. And one of the big club visions was to grow the club's reputation, which we are starting to do and dominate Croatia. And one of the supporters' main objectives was for us to force a higher reputation than Dinamo Zagreb, and I think we're well on the way now. So for me, I've got 2 little worries. The first one is I can't seem to get past that last 16 stage. Is the strikerless formation going to get me into those quarters and beyond, which is the goal of this, quarters or semis? And the other one is, I don't think I can possibly get £500 million worth of sales, because if you look at my most valued player, at the minute is Miguel Monsalve. He is my most valued player. Now, because of the league we're in, there's a kind of limit on how much money we can charge for players. So we're probably only going to get 15 million max for him. And at the minute I've brought in 32.5. So to get to 500 million, I might be playing this till season 45. Therefore, I may adjust and go for 250 million, or it will be a case of Do we get to 250 million in player sales or win a European trophy first? Let's weigh that up as we carry on into Season 5. So I went into Season 5 fresh, invigorated and looking for some key players, namely a right back, a defensive midfielder and yet another attacking midfielder. And we were successful, firstly finding Cesar Hernandez, an Honduran international. He looks like he's going to be a key defensive midfielder. I've never seen that amount of possession won from any player. Costing just 500,000, he looks an absolute snip. Higher up the park, African scouts came in with Samuel Akani, a striker who can also already play as a shadow striker, I believe. Now his attributes for a 19-year-old look really exciting. He's also had a pretty decent season with 10 goals. He joins for 775,000. And the biggest outlay will be Daniel Kavinda, who's coming in for 1.5 million. The Ukrainian international reminds me a lot of Ioan Boni. Two new scouts joined the team, Ivan Cordoba, a specialist in Colombia and Italy, and Ollie Nielsen, who's going to cover Scandinavia. So now with a full recruitment focus drive, I'm hopeful we can keep replacing these players as they get sold. Just as the season was about to get going, there was another big departure as Luis Angel Diaz left the club for 6 million. He's joined Birmingham City. I would have liked to have got more, but he was in the last year of his contract. Having accepted a 5 million bid for my right back Nico Seguir, he's actually joined a divisional rival, but I had to take the money. I've got no time to find a player, but thankfully my African scouts look to have came up trumps with Tiboho Zimu. Now this will be a risk because he's 19 and he hasn't even played a game yet. But they've been glowing about him for over a year, so I'm going to take the punt. So he joins for just 250,000. In the first game of the season, we got a couple of debut goals, including from Kavinda and one from youth development prospect David Bistro, our new regista. And with Season 5 about to get going, the average age of the squad was now down to just 23. At the halfway point of the season, things had been okay, not spectacular, but we were still doing pretty well. We had dropped into the Europa League again, but we were getting some good results. And things are a bit tighter in the league, but we are still on top. We had lost another big player. Christian Mawasi signed on a free transfer, leaves, but we did get 7.25 million for him. Unfortunately, it was our worst performance yet in the knockouts of Europe as Stade Reims absolutely batter us 4-0, out we go again. And old rivals Dinamo Zagreb beat us in the semi-final of the Croatian Cup, so we won't be making it a triple-double. And as far as the league goes, well, all the exits are starting to take its toll because we were drawing so many matches. But we just about held on to take the title by 1 point from Dinamo Zagreb. And we very nearly blew it late in the season as we dropped to second but got it back for the last 3 games, taking down the title. Look, it's still a great achievement as that's our 4th title in 5 years and our 3rd in a row. And transfers now are up to 55 million received. Look, there are promising signs, such as youth development player David Bistro, who's had a great season as a new regista. He's played about half the matches and he's looking really good, a really good prospect. But our performances are dropping off season on season as players leave us, so we really need to find some good players to replace them going into Season 6. And this European record, we just cannot get past a certain knockout stage. Can we ever get to the quarterfinals and beyond? So as we start a fresh season, we definitely need to improve because we just about got the title last year. But I have decided to take a risk with some of the squad, specifically the starting 11. Now Ernst is a good goalkeeper, he had a good season. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that at all. But I'm going to put Kamini, the young Congo player, straight in the team this season. He's only 19, but I think the time's right to get him in the team and get that value up. So basically I'm putting all my faith in youth, hoping that the value comes up. So here's Akani, scored 14 times in 36 matches, on loan at Remo Stars. If I can get that sort of output out of him, I think it'll be a good move. To back that up, I've got 3 bids in for players. Bruneo is a Brazilian playing in the Croatian 2nd division and he's the top scorer with 15 goals. There is potential to retrain this man into a new shadow striker. Javon Simmons can play anywhere for us. He's a bit of an all-round player, but he needs a focus. And I'm going to focus him in on this position here, out wide, being creative. And it's a similar story for Gabriel Mansahu, who I've got a bid in for him. He's currently at Girona. But he's been relegated to their B team after a couple of seasons in the first team. But man, he could even drop back to Regista if I wanted him to. He's going to be such a handy player. I've got limited data on him because he spent most of his season with the Girona 2nd team. But my scout team absolutely loved him, and for 500,000, I see it as no risk. And guess what? We're going back to Nigeria again, as young fullback Usman Aziz is available for just 500,000. And the season started with the Super Cup, and new man Akani, the youngster, had a flying start. He scores twice as we lock down the Super Cup. Promising times. Now this was a strange season in terms of transfers. We did bring in 12.25 million. Gutted to lose Elijah Gift, but he was running out of contract, wouldn't sign the new one, so he went to Trabzonspor for 2.8 million. Marcel Lobber, the Slovenian, went to Saudi for 1.7. And do you remember Marcus Syme, the player we picked up from Hamilton? There he is. He's only played a couple of games for me. Well, look at this. Liverpool came in out of nowhere and chucked 8 million at me. And then they insisted on loaning him back to us, and that's maybe just a rub in my face that value for him, for them, is 23 to 32 million. As far as transfers in go, we didn't really add to it. A couple of free transfers have came in. These are just youngsters that were doing well in their respective leagues, but they're not ready for the first team yet. As for our season, we did make it into the league phase of the Champions League this time, but we got knocked out in that phase yet again. And in the Cup, we got knocked out in the second round, so things are definitely on the downward spiral, so to speak. As far as the bread and butter, the league campaign, well, it was another interesting season. We did continue to get the better over rivals Dinamo Zagreb, and the first half of the season there was as many draws as there were victories. Second half of the season was a little bit better, and we did take down the league yet again by 11 points. However, at no point did I think we were at our fluid best. We only lost 3 matches, scored 68 against 28. It sounds good, but this was the season where my front four really struggled. The standout player was Bosnian Sakota, and his 4th season at the club, it was probably his best season as he finishes with 17 goal contributions. Normal starman Miguel Monsalve wasn't great. He dropped down to 12 goals and 12 assists this season, but as you can see, that goals has dropped right down from where he was. And the new signings, Masurwa and Siemens, well, Siemens is probably going to be on his way out because that is just not good enough for our strikerless setup. And our man Gabriel, he was a top scorer with 16 goals, but it seems a long time ago we had the likes of Bonnie and Marcos smashing the goals in. And because we've won the league, that does of course mean we're back in the Champions League, but honestly, I cannot see us getting past this league phase at the minute. And if you look at the transfer recouped value of 68 million, we are really struggling to achieve either of our objectives. Who says Football Manager's too easy, hey? On the one hand, we're completely dominating Croatia, winning title after title. On the other hand, we're kind of victims of our own success because as we win the league, we go into the toughest European competition there is, and that is going to be hard to even get close to get into those knockouts. And because the sell-on value for clubs in Croatia is not as high as it would be in certain other European countries, to get to 250 million even is going to be a battle. So I'm going to have to do a bit of a change of philosophy. So in my current scouting setup, I've got them all locked in for South America, Africa, Scandinavia, various different countries. And I've been doing my best to work off that. Africa, for example, we brought in a load of young players. Now some have been a great success, such as Kamini. His sell-on value is going to be huge and you can see he's wanted already by Porto. However, some of the striking positions you will notice that they're not in there. That's because a super talented player such as Samuel Akani, now 21, he really struggled when he played, only scoring 1 goal in the league. And Usman Aziz, who I was really excited about, he was okay either playing at fullback or defensive midfield, but he couldn't get into the team, so I shipped him out on loan. So what I've been doing is trying my best to completely sign players by data. When there's minimal data available, I drop back to the scout report, and attributes are a distant third place when it comes to priority of signing. Now, a lot of the top players that have been recommended are from South America, and a lot of the players that do get recommended from South America have a high value. Now, the most I've spent on a player is 2 million because I didn't really want to go down that route, but I might have to just spend a little money now. So even when I do my data search, when I'm not even looking at my scout reports and I'm looking for players myself using data, the top players that pop up are players of a higher value than I'm willing to spend, really. So someone like a Paul Wanner, who we know is pretty good in FM, he could be an option to buy and then resell. So that is what I'm considering doing, but I'm not going to do it yet because I'm a stubborn old mule and I'm still going to work on finding some bargains and undervalued players first. But if that goes wrong, well, we might have to change it up. So for season 7, I was sticking to my guns and my usual transfer policy. For example, Bernard Gassi will be coming in. He is from Venusia and that famous team ABM Galaxy FC. Either way, he's a fullback with good potential and he's had a good season. Abdullah Ali is from Congo. Now first off, what will hit you is his attributes. He looks like a really good player. He's only 19 and a pretty complete defensive midfielder in terms of winning the ball back and supplying assists. So those two were cheap and I found myself a new attacking midfielder from Norway. This is Gustav Nyhem and he looks like a hard-working player and a pretty all-round one as well. He's a little bit older at 25, but it's worth the risk for such a small fee. And that's it. That was my transfer business for season 7. And the only other thing I'm going to do is bring Bruneo into the team and teach him to be a shadow striker like we did with Johan Bonny. He's had another good season out on loan, scoring 14 times in the league below. So I'm going to try my best to adapt him to that shadow striker position. And at the halfway point of the season, using my own philosophy, I was starting to feel pretty smug with new players like Naheem settling in straight away. Shockingly, we were back to form and looking like our old selves again. And this was our best effort in the Champions League by a mile, including beating Manchester United. And by the time we got to the mid-season, we were clear at the top of the table, and in the Champions League, we were 10th, just below the top 8. We're flying. But our team was about to be absolutely decimated. First off, Masari Seiler, one of the first players we bought, he was sold. He went to the UAE for 17.5 million. Not a bad profit, but we're going to miss him. Then Cesar Hernandez, the ball-winning midfielder, left us. He goes to China for 22 million, a 21.5 million profit. Another defender, João Muniz, went to Al Fateh, signed on a free transfer. He leaves us 3 seasons later for 11.25 million. So I'm pretty much left with no centre-backs. I've got 3 coming in. Bulgarian Georgi Veskov, he's only 21, but he's going to be a good pickup. And from Kaiser Chiefs, Fabrizio Torlioni. Then it got even worse as Mamadou Sarr had his release clause tripped. He's gone for 10 million. We have lost so many players in the January transfer window. Every one of them from a huge profit, but they're all playing so well, this could completely derail a promising season. Somehow we're holding on to Samuel Kamini, the 20-year-old goalkeeper, and judging by the way he's playing, that's a blooming good job as well. Frustratingly, those transfers out, I'm convinced led to us going out of the Champions League, but we did make the knockouts against Monaco. The good news was we did win our cup back, and it was down to one of our homegrown players, Durdov. And despite losing £61 million worth of players, mostly in the middle of the season, we took down the title yet again, this time by nearly 20 points. With a pretty dominant overall team performance, and back amongst the goals banging in 84. So I think we adapted really well after losing all those players. For example, look at the new centre-backs who jumped in mid-season. Playing so well, annoyingly, they're already wanted as well. And finally, it looks like we have got a goal-scoring shadow striker yet again with 32 goals from Naheem. And I think that's what we were missing. So Season 7 ends with a domestic treble, and we have made progress in that Champions League. The squad did take a massive hit though, but we've now recouped 129 million. And I'm deep into pre-season for Season 8 now, and I shouldn't have got cocky about a new shadow striker. That's because £33 million worth of talent has left the building, including our shadow striker, the Norwegian Nyheim. And do you know what the most annoying thing is? We only got 4.1 million for him because I didn't see it in his contract. Also leaving was Javon Simons, went for 7.5 million. And finally leaving us is Miguel Monsalve for a fee rising to 20 million. He was with us for 6 seasons, having signed on a free transfer from Gremio, so potentially a challenging season coming up. Incomings to help me out is Khaled Hamidi, an Algerian. At only 19, he's got great talent, but is he ready right now? Also lined up to join the club is 19-year-old Paraguayan right-back, Oscar Cespedes. I think this guy's going to be pretty special, and it looks like I'm going to get him for just over 800,000. But my main concerns are higher up the pitch because I'm losing all sorts of players, so I'm bringing in Chilean Sebastian Valdez. So he's going to cost me 1.8 million. He's a tricky player because he wants to be a defensive midfielder, and you can see why, because he wins the ball back an absolute ton. I'm going to try and push him up front though to more of an attacking midfielder, which is a huge risk because most of his technical and mental attributes are suited to be a more defensive player, but his physical attributes of acceleration, pace, agility, just think that he's going to be able to jump into this sort of position. So with those additions, young players yet again that aren't costing me a lot of money, I'm sticking to my guns for another season. But we are in the year 2030 now, so are we ever going to progress in this European competition? So seriously lacking options in those attacking positions. I made one final signing before the pre-season, and it's our biggest signing yet. I spent 2.4 million, I'm in cold sweats, on Vasilis Pufu, a Romanian player who's got 11 caps. So as we're about to start Season 8, let's be real, it's probably the weakest team we've ever had from an experience standpoint, but let's hope the front four can get something going on. And to be fair, in pre-season we looked pretty good, even destroyed Manchester United 3-0 with Valdez scoring. And remember, we've had this strikerless system now since day one, and still, the opposition defenders are left marking absolutely nobody, and when we have late runners, they just do not know what to do. Our attacking midfielder is free and clear because these three are all marking, well, basically nobody, and as the right back goes down, look at the space he's got to slot it in. Well, there'll be no torture in the Champions League because Dynamo Kyiv knocked us out in the last playoff round. But this did mean we went to the Europa League and we started with a 4-1 victory over Betis. The Europa League was going pretty well, highlighted by this victory over Benfica. Our star men this season have all been homegrown. David Bistro, the Regista, 16 goals in 23 matches. And that's what I mean by the Regista, they turn into one of your most attacking creative players. Also having a good season is Bruno Derdov. He's been with us since the get-go, a couple of loan moves, and he's slowly got himself into the team. The other success story is Andrija Besanic, 20-year-old attacking midfielder. He's bagged 9 goals this season. It's good to see the homegrown Croatian players doing a job. And at the halfway point of the season, fingers crossed, but no more transfers out. We do sit top of the table, we've got a couple of games in hand as well. In the Europa League, we're sat in 11th position, going pretty well. We finished our Europa League campaign with a stunning 8-1 win against them, progressing past the first knockout round against Ludogorets pretty comfortably, which led to a last 16 tie against VfB Stuttgart. The last 16 is where we've always struggled. This time we took a first leg victory, but in the second leg, a 91st minute goal from Stuttgart knocked us out at this stage again. And that seemed to affect my young team as the second half of the season started to fall away and Dinamo Zagreb steal the league title from us by 1 point. It's the first season we haven't won a trophy. Is this a sign of the decline we are on? And this is outrageous. One season where we don't win a trophy and all the players are kicking off, and so are the board. These people have got short memories. As a reminder, board, I have left you swimming in trophies, not to mention making you an absolute boatload of money. So yet again, it's the last 16. That is the big thing we just cannot get past, and that is the goal, to get past the last 16 into those later stages. Now, if we can't do that, the other revised goal of getting to 250 million in player sales, well, that's creeping up there. Might be a question of which comes first. But the reason this has been so tough is because we're doing this style of save where we continue to sell, we're basically rebuilding the team every season. Right, so I was getting ready for season 9, and the good news was I hadn't lost many players. Only right back Tibahu Zimu, who was a bit of a regular, has left us. And with new signing Demencic starting to learn his new role as a shadow striker, scoring in pre-season, so high hopes for him. I was excited for a rebound season. And we had our best group stage in Europe yet, including beating Roma. We finished 11th, but we only lost 1 match out of the 8 games. So granted, I start to think this is the season we're going to beat the last 16. However, when the transfer window opened, the gates opened as well, as £54 million worth of talent left the club. 2 players went to one club and ripped the team up. Georgi Veskov, the centre-back from Bulgaria, left us for £32.5 million. He joined us 3 seasons ago for £1.5 million. He's gone to China. And also leaving was Sebastian Valdez after a very brief stay. Signed for £1.8 million, he played 22 matches and he's left us for 20. But there's no doubt it derailed us a bit, as we've had our worst league campaign yet, and Dinamo have already won the league and the massive 24 points clear with games remaining. However, there is a chance to not go trophyless for the second successive season, as we've got a final coming up against Dinamo. The Mohawked wonder has probably been the main man this season, scoring 22 times, making that attacking midfield position his own and being the main goal scoring threat. And the homegrown players really were stepping up. The main assist maker this season was Bruno Derdov, and David Bistro in the Regista role was yet again exceptional. And Oscar Cespedes, the Paraguayan we signed for just 800,000, has seen his value rocket to 28 to 36 million, and he is the ideal attacking fullback. So this is undoubtedly the youngest team I've ever had, but it's probably the most exciting as well. Indeed, when you look at the squad planner, there's only a few weaknesses, but the amount of strength this squad has got now is pretty complete. So yet again, huge player turnover. I should be pretty downcast about the way the league campaign has gone, but we do have the cup final to come and Europe. And we got through the first playoff round with Besanic scoring a double, and he has been exceptional all season. Next up, it was the infamous last 16 stage, and we had Fenerbahce in that tie. In the first leg, a late penalty from Zaniolo gave them a big win. And in the second leg, it looked like the last 16 curse was going to hit us yet again, as they took an early lead, making it 2-0 in aggregate. In the second half though, we did get one back. Simic finds Demencic, and on 70 minutes he pulled that out the bag. It went all the way to penalties. We started well, and then our main man Kamini took over the show. as the big man saved 3 Fenerbahce penalties, which left homegrown player Durdov to smash us in to the quarterfinals at last. So a tough looking game against Tottenham for sure, but we were helped out big time early on through this. An absolutely shocker of a challenge brought Tottenham down to 10 men. And homegrown Bruno was there again to get us a great first leg draw. Second leg at home, the right back of all people gave us the lead, and then Bistro was there from the penalty spot. Unbelievably, we've made it to the semi-finals. Semi-finals against Atalanta. 2 late goals, and the 85th and 87th minute gave us a 2-0 first leg win. Now in the second leg we started like a house on fire and took the lead. In the second leg we scored after 4 minutes, and after 22 we survived a late onslaught with Atalanta scoring 3 times. But my Hajduk Split boys have done it. We've made it to the Europa League final. In that final, it looks pretty damn tough because we'll be going up against Newcastle United. Looking at their starting 11, it looks pretty strong, doesn't it? With 30 minutes gone, it was all square, but Newcastle was starting to put us under a lot of pressure. But on 36 minutes, it's only fitting it was this man, Durdov, yet again. As time was ticking on, we were seriously under the cosh now. And on 75 minutes, our resistance was broken. Extra time, we're just about clinging on in there. Heartbreak, Newcastle take the lead. And with the boys tiring, they scored a third. Hope in the second half of extra time as we capitalised on a mistake and Besanic was there. But despite giving it our all, we couldn't find the equaliser and Newcastle win the trophy. And to stick the knife in, Dinamo Zagreb beat us in the cup over 2 legs as well. So disappointing in the final, but we did it. We got our team, our little team, into the European later stages and in fact a final. So that is a massive, massive result. And we're also getting close to that 250 million in player sales. And in the pre-season, we got a huge bid off Manchester City for right back Oscar Cespedes. He joined us for 800,000 and he leaves for 29 million, which meant our total transfer value of players sold was 257 million.